Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. This is the big one, the Pirates at the Cubs, and this is going to be for first place in the National League this series. Honus Wagner is going to start this one up. This is on April 26, 1908. Here's Wagner with the first roll, and it's a 21 for a 30. That's going to be a fly ball over to Sheckard in left field, one away, and here comes Fred Clark. Clark now rolls a 64 for a 13. He'll strike out two away, and here's Tommy Leach. Tommy Leach up there rolls a 53 for an 18. That's going to be changed to a 22, which means that is a ground ball over to the first baseman Chance, who flips that one over to Ed Rulbach, who covers the bag. 3 up, 3 down. Here's Johnny Evers, bottom of the first, and Evers rolls a 52 for a 27. Ground ball over to Leach, who throws to first for the out. One away. It's Joe Tinker. Tinker rolls a 15 for an 11. There's a single and then a stolen base, and he ends up on at second base. Runner on at second, and the first hit of the ball game belongs to the Cubs, and here's Frank Chance. And Chance rolls a 36 for 14, and he will end up at first, lefty live field with that W that may come to haunt him. Here's Johnny Kling, and there's a real chance for the Cubs to do something here. Johnny rolls a 43 for a 29, and that's not what you want. That is a ground ball back to live field. Who makes the play goes to Honus Wagner for one. He goes on to first to Swasina for the double play. We go to the top of the second inning, and here's Ed Abaticio. Ed rolls a 36 for a 32. Fly ball is over there to Schultz in right field, one away, and here comes Chief Wilson. Owen Wilson rolls a 64 for a 29. It's a comeback over to Royalbach, who throws to first for the out. Two away. Here's Swasina. He rolls a 13 for a 41. It's changed to a 38. It's going to be a W walk for Swasina. Here is Beals Becker now, and he rolls a 65 for a 35, and that will be another walk. That'll bring up George Gibson now with runners on at first and second and 2 outs here, top of the second. No hits yet for Pittsburgh. Gibson rolls a 41 for a 28. That's a ground ball over to shortstop Tinker. Flips over to Evers for the force out. We go to the bottom of the second, and here is Jimmy Sheckard. Jimmy rolls a 24 for a 13, and he strikes out, one away. And here's Harry Steinfeld, and he rolls an 11 for a 0. And the next roll is a 52 for an 11. So it's a single, then a stolen base for Steinfeld. That'll bring up Wildfire Schultz with the runner on at second. Schultz rolls a 16 for a 26. That's a ground ball over to Abaticio at second. Throws over to first for the out. No play on the runner or Steinfeld going to third. 2 outs, and here's Jimmy Slagle. And the roll is a 34 for a 44. That's a fly ball over to Beals Becker in center, and he makes the catch. We go to the top of the third. Here's lefty live field, the pitcher up there, and he rolls a 54. You can kind of see that for a 45. And there is a little E roll, as always, and let's see what happens with it. It's a 34 out of the range. That is a fly ball over to the right fielder, Schultz, for the first out. And here's Honus Wagner. Honus rolls a 25 for an 11. That's a single, and he steals a base on the next pitch. That'll bring up Fred Clark, now runner on at second base with a chance to do something. Clark rolls a 35 for a 40. Changed to a 36. That will be a wild pitch on Royalbach, sending Wagner to third. And the Pirates have the first real scoring opportunity of this game, and they'll bring the infield in. And the roll is a 43 for a 29. That is a comeback over to Royalbach, who holds Wagner on at third base and makes the play at first. Now there's 2 away. Here's Tommy Leach. Leach rolls a 64 for a 29. That's another comebacker to Royalbach, who grabs it and throws to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the third, still no score. Here is the pitcher, and Ed rolls a 36 for a 33. It's a fly ball over to Abaticio, pop up to second base, one away. Johnny Evers now, and he rolls a 31 for a 9. It's a single, but Evers is then thrown out trying to steal, and that'll bring up Joe Tinker. Hit number 3 for the Cubs. Tinker rolls a 54 for a 45, and that's a fly ball over to Owen Wilson in right field. We go to the top of the fourth inning in this one. This is a real tight one, isn't it? Ed Abaticio rolls a 36 for a 32. That's a fly ball over to Schultz in right field for the out, one away. Chief Wilson now. Owen Wilson rolls a 22 for a 7, and there's a single into right field. Hit number 2 for the Pirates, and that'll bring up Swasina, and he's got a bunt. Not much else Swasina can do, and he rolls, of course, a 25 for a 9. Would have been a base hit. Instead, there is a bunt over the left side, and it is Steinfeld who grabs it and throws over to the second baseman Evers, covering at the bag, first base bag for the out. That'll bring up Beals Becker, 2 outs, runner on at second base. Becker rolls a 34 for a 44. It's a little harmless fly ball over to center field. Slagle has it for the out. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning, and it's Frank Chance up there now. And the roll is a 44 for an 8, and that's a ground ball over to Honus Wagner. Throws to first for the out, one away. Here's Johnny Kling. He rolls a 42 for a 38, changed to a 40, and that's going to be a walk because of that W. And here's Jimmy Sheckard. Sheckard rolls a 45 for a 14, and there's another walk, and that'll bring up Harry Steinfeld. Runners on a first and second here, bottom of the fourth. And Steinfeld rolls a 21 for a 30, and that's a fly ball over to Clark, who makes the play for the out, 2 away. Here is Schultz. He rolls a 36 for a 33. That's a pop-up over to Honus Wagner in the infield. We go to the top of the fifth, no score. George Gibson will roll a 41 for a 28. That is a ground ball, this time to Tinker. The shortstop makes the play, throws to first for the out, one away. Here is Liefeld. And lefty rolls a 55 for an 8. That's a ground ball over to the shortstop Tinker again, who throws to first for the out, 2 out. And here's Honus Wagner, who's hitting 355. Wagner rolls a 32 for a 26. That's a grounder over to Joe Evers, who throws to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Here's Jimmy Slagle. Jimmy rolls a 36 for a 33. And the little E rolls a 55 out of range. That's a pop-up over to second baseman Alberticio for the first out. And here's Ed Royalbach. He rolls a 41 for a 27. That is a ground ball over to the third baseman Leach. Throws to first for the out, 2 away. And here's Johnny Evers. Evers rolls a 21 for a 13. That's a strikeout. We go to the top of the 6th inning, and it's Fred Clark up there. And here is Clark, who rolls a 14 for a 43. It's a fly ball over to left field. Sheckard has it for the out, 1 away. And that'll bring up Tommy Leach. Leach rolls an 11 for a 0. And we'll then roll a 62 for a 5, and that's a double over first base. And that's the second time that the Pirates have gotten a runner in scoring position in this game. And let's see if this fares any better for them. Alberticio now up there. He rolls a 53 for a 19 and is hit by the pitch from Royalbach. Runners are on at first and second now with 1 out. And here comes Owen Wilson. And we're going to, what are we going to do with him? We're going to have Wilson swing away instead of bunting because Swasina doesn't look like he can do too much. And his roll is a 13 for a 40. That's changed to a 36. It's a pass ball called on the catcher, Kling. That'll send the runners up, and that will bring the infield in. And I think we are going to try to bunt here since this game is so important. And the roll is a 65. And there is a little E roll to worry about, and it's a 55. And so that's going to be a foul strike now on Wilson, and we'll bring the infield in again, and we'll do it again. And this time the roll is a 14 for a 43, and that is a good bunt down to the left side, and it's over to Steinfeld, and the third baseman makes the play and has only 1 play and goes to first for the out. Pirates are able to bunt in that run, and with 2 outs here in the bottom of the top of the 6th inning, they have Harry Swasina coming up with a runner on at third base, and that was a good play there by Owen Wilson. We can argue about it left and right and say, maybe this was what should happen, maybe that's what should happen, and so on. But I'll tell you that when you're in this situation, you know that you've got to do something. And while I do know that it is true that just acting is not necessarily acting in a way that is actually useful or manageable, in this situation, if you don't do something, you're going to have no more chances coming. Here's Harry Swasina. Swasina rolls a 62, and that's for a 12. There is a little E to worry about, and this rolls a 65. It's way off, and that's going to be a fly ball over to right field, and it is Schultz who has that one for the out. And we go on to the bottom of the 6th inning, and here is Joe Tinker. 1-0 Pirates have a very, very close and slim lead. Tinker rolls a 56 for a 34, and let's make sure that we're on. Here we go. And that is going to bring up another little E roll. And the roll is a 63, so it's out of the range. That's a pop-up over to the shortstop. Honus Wagner has it 1 away, and here's Frank Chance. Chance rolls a 55 for an 8, and that's a ground ball over to Wagner. Throws to first for the out, 2 away, and here comes Johnny Kling. Kling rolls a 61 for a 36, changed to 38. That's a walk, and Liefeld has given up 4 of those. Jimmy Sheckard rolls a 65 for a 35. There's another walk. That's the walk number 5, and that'll bring up Harry Steinfeld. He rolls a 25 for an 8, and that's a little ground ball over to Leach at third base. Tommy throws to first for the out, and Liefeld gets out of the jam. Here's Beals Becker to lead off the top of the 7th, and he rolls a 26 for a 30. It's a fly ball over to Sheckard and left. He makes the catch for the out, 1 away, and here's George Gibson. Gibson rolls a 33 for a 7. There's a single to right, and here comes lefty Liefeld. We'll bunt with him. His roll is a 64 for a 13. That's a foul strike. 1 strike on him. And the next roll is a 66 for a 4. We should have swung away. And that will be a bunt back to Royalbach, who throws over to first for the out. Gibson moves up to second. Here comes Honus Wagner with a chance to add to this lead. Wagner rolls a 12 for a 24, but there is a little E roll. And the roll is a 66. That's what he could have used to start things off. And that's a little pop-up over to Tinker, the shortstop. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Still that slim 1-0 lead for the Pirates. And this is Wildfire Schultz, who rolls a 23 for a 32. That's a fly ball over to Owen Wilson and right, 1 away. And here's Jimmy Slagle. Slagle rolls a 55 for a 9, and that's a single against lefty Liefeld. And there's a chance for the Cubs. Or Ed Royalbach now will be the one to bunt, and he rolls a 35 for a 23. And that is the wrong thing to do. That is a pop-up over to the pitcher live field, and he makes the play and is able to throw over to Swasina for the out, and that ends a real golden chance for the Pirates, or I'm sorry, for the Cubs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And that's got to be a little bit frustrating if you're a Cubs fan. So the Pirates had a chance early on in this game with Honus Wagner at third base, weren't able to do anything with it. The Cubs there had a chance to move one over and maybe get a guy in a better position than just on a first base, and it didn't quite happen. Go to the top of the 8th, and here's Fred Clark. Clark rolls a 52 for a 27. That's a ground ball over to Steinfeld at third, throws to first for the out, one away. Here's Leach, who rolls a 63 for a 31. That's a fly ball straight over to Slagle in center, 2 away. And here's Ed Abaticio. He rolls a 66 for a 0, and Abaticio's second roll is going to be a 54 for a 7, and that's a base hit, single for him. That'll bring up Owen Wilson, runner on at first base, 2 outs. Wilson rolls a 63 for a 30. That's a fly ball calmly over to Slagle in center for the out. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Here is Johnny Evers for the Cubs, 1-0 Pirates. Evers rolls a 63 for a 31. That's a fly ball over to center field. Becker has it for the out, 1 away. And here is Joe Tinker, who rolls a 15 for an 11. That's going to be a single and a stolen base by Tinker. Now, we've seen the Cubs do this. We've seen them so far in this season come back from time to time in these types of situations. So we'll see if it happens again here. I don't know if I would hold out hope for this happening if I were a Cubs fan, though, because so many things can go wrong and have gone wrong in the past. Here's Frank Chance now with a runner on second base, and he's got a chance maybe to make something happen. He rolls a 51 for a 9, and that is a single, and that will score the runner, but Chance then is thrown out trying to steal, and that makes this a 1-1 ball game. And man, oh man, you knew this was going to be a close one. It always was. Chance comes through for the Cubs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Even though he's thrown out trying to steal afterwards, it doesn't really matter that much because it's a 1-1 ball game, and that brings up Johnny Kling now with 2 outs. 2 outs now. Johnny Kling up bottom of the 8th inning, and he rolls a 16 for a 26. That's a ground ball over to Abaticio, throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the 9th, and here's Harry Swasina. Swasina rolls a 24 for a 13, and there's a strikeout, 1 away, and here's Beals Becker. He rolls a 26 for a 30. It's a fly ball over to Sheckard, 2 away, and here's George Gibson. And Gibson rolls a 45 for a 14, and there is a walk, and we have lefty Liefeld coming up now, runner on first base. We're going to keep lefty in. He rolls a 54 for a 45. It's a fly ball over to Slagle, the center fielder, for the out. We go to the bottom of the 9th, and here is Jimmy Sheckard. And Sheckard will roll a 62 for a 12. There is a little E-roll on this play, of course. It's a 33 out of the range. It's a little ground ball over to the first baseman, Swasina, who does it himself, 1 away. Harry Steinfeld rolls a 32 for a 26. That's a ground ball to Abaticio. Throws to first, 2 out. And here's Wildfire Schultz. He rolls a 42 for a 13, and he'll strike out. We go to the top of the 10th inning, and this is Honus Wagner. Wagner rolls a 14 for a 43 and a little E-roll. And the little E-roll in this case is a 46. That's going to be a out of the range, so it'll be a fly ball over to left field. Sheckard has it for the out, 1 away. Fred Clark now. Clark rolls a 51 for a 9, and that is a single over short, and that puts Royalbach down at the C rating. And Clark is going to be off with this pitch as Tommy Leach's roll is up. And Leach rolls a 63 for a 31. That's really big, and that is a base hit, of course, and that will send Clark over to third base. And so there's a little bit of, let's try to get this one again. Sorry about this. There's a little bit of sort of gamesmanship there for you because this is that old APBA tradition of the batter having that 31. That means that he's good at the hit and run because 31s with a hit and run on with runner at first base or runners on at first and third always end up good. Abaticio up there now with runners on first and third, and Leach I think is also pretty fast. So, yep, he is. And so we are going to do this hit and run again, and the infield, of course, comes in. I have to actually click the buttons. And the roll is a 16 for a 26. That's going to be a single through second. That scores 1 and sends the other one to third base. And so Abaticio now winds up being the hero of this one, at least at the moment. Still only 1 out. And let me make sure I get this screenshot correct again. This is part of the problem. I've got a couple of things going on at the same time. My apologies for unburdening this on you, but I've got a meeting coming up in less than 10 minutes, and so I'm hoping this game is over in a rather relatively quick fashion, but we'll see what happens. You never know which way the dice are going to roll. Runners now on at first and third, and here is Chief Wilson up, and the infield is probably going to remain in to hold off from the lead getting worse. Wilson rolls a 32 for a 26, and that's another single up to right field that will score one and send one over to second base. We should probably stop playing the infield in, I think. And we've got to do this stupid screenshot again. My one complaint about this game is this, where you go over this part right here, and oh wow, it changes everybody's, changes the player whose card is showing. Well, I don't always want that to happen. I wish that I could just turn that off because it doesn't do anything for me. I'd never want to do that. Anyway, here's Harry Swasina, more programming that's probably more for showing off one's skills than for anything that's useful. Swasina rolls a 54 for a 45, and here's a little E-roll. And the roll's a 12, and so that's going to end up being an error on the pitcher, Royalbach, and that loads the bases, and that'll bring up Beals Becker now. And we're going to have the infield play back on him. The roll's a 65 for a 35, and that's a walk, and that's going to be it for Royalbach. I mean, he's got to get him out of this game. The question is, who do you want to do? You want to do Fraser or Lundgren? And I think we're going to put Fraser in this ball game. 4-1 now, the Pirates with the lead, and here comes George Gibson against the new pitcher. He rolls a 15 for an 8, and that's a fly ball over to center field. It's going to be Slagle who has it, but a run scores, and it's 5-1 now, and here comes lefty Liefeld, and the roll is a 43 for a 29. That is a ground ball back to Fraser, the pitcher, who flips around over to Evers behind him for the play, and we go to the Bob in the 10th inning, and it is Jimmy Slagle who comes up to bat. Jimmy Slagle will roll a 53, if I can remember how to write numbers. And that's going to be a 16, which is a fly ball straight over there to Becker in center field for 1. And there's Fraser's spot due up in the order. And let's see who we're going to put in for him. Durbin, maybe. Durbin or Howard. It's going to be Howard. And so Howard's the pinch hitter for the Cubs. He rolls a 53 for a 17. It's changed to a 22. That's going to be a ground ball over to Swasina, who flips over to the pitcher, Liefeld, covering up first for the out, 2 away. And here's Johnny Evers. Evers rolls a 21 for a 13. There's a strikeout to end the ball game. There's your ball game. The Cubs go down to 10-2. Pirates are at 9-3 and are just one game behind. And this is going to be a real pennant race, isn't it? Hope you've enjoyed this one. And apologies again for some of the snafus that went on. And we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.